Well, we can delve further into the issue of black people's experience in the workplace now with my guests, Sandra Kerr from the charity Business in the Community and Dr. Jonathan Ashong-Lamptey, who advises companies on diversity and inclusion. Welcome both to the programme. Sandra first. Firstly, we use the term BAME at the top of the introduction there because that's how the data on ethnicity is published by organisations. But how useful is that when grouping people all together? How useful is that when we look at the black experience specifically?
It's not helpful when we are looking at the black experience. That's why we are big advocates, really, of using data, of employers being transparent, of encouraging employers to monitor ethnicity and pay and do it by ethnicity group. So you can actually see the lived experience, use the census categories and be informed by information. And also that stops people denying that there is a challenge.
Dr. Jonathan Ashong-Lamptey, what do you make of this term BAME? Is it a way that companies can actually get away with not providing this information? And what's the compulsion to give it?
Well, I think sometimes it's used as a hiding place for inequality. So if we look at the Office of National Statistics, the labour force survey, that shows that Black African, Black Caribbean individuals, they get paid less than everyone else. So it's essentially a tax on being Black. We call that an ethnic penalty. And that's after we control for age, location and education. So it's a massive hiding place. So we need to be more transparent about what that actually means. And organisations tend not to do that.
Sandra, we heard in that report some of the problems that people are facing. What have you encountered, and more specifically, what can be done and what are you doing about that?
I have experienced bias. I've experienced not getting promotions when all the white people came up to me and said, Sandra, that's not right. It should have been you. And I am calling for leadership at the top table. I think the time for employers to be comfortable when they look around and everyone is white is over. I think they need to find a way to ensure they're hearing from Black employees in their organizations. So looking to ensure that there is actually a pathway to that top table. But in the meantime, they can convene shadow boards. There's things that they can do to facilitate that voice.
But do they do it? Do they do it? They say that they want to, but how do you compel them to do it?
I mean, one of the things we have a Race at Work Charter, which we are calling on employers to sign. We have seen a steady flow of employers since its establishment in 2018. This week, I have to say, we've had 25 employers signing up, which is good because that means they're committing to sustained action. And the first principle and priority is action on leadership.
Okay.
So we will.
I'm going to bring Jonathan in here. You go into private companies, you advise them. What are the obstacles that you face when you're talking to these companies about how they can improve diversity?
Well, what the research says and what the students said is consistent. I hear a lot of the same thing, which is Black people are underrepresented in senior leadership roles. Black people have difficulty benefiting from mentors. And what that means is they don't get the promotions, and retention becomes a massive issue as well. So typically what this looks like is people aren't being put forward for the promotional roles. They're not being put forward for the high profile opportunities. Some of that is stereotypes, leads to prejudice and discrimination, but often there's systemic issues. People say there's not enough Black talent, but actually Black students are twice as likely as white students to go to university.
Just one last question, if I may. Lots of companies, organisations have aligned themselves with the Black Lives Matter protest movement, and they've said that they support it. But do you think that that is reliable? Do you think that that will last? Sandra?
I think that's why I think we need to encourage employers to sign the charter, because that's about sustained action. The media will move on, the stories will move on, but the actions and the issues will remain the same.
And Jonathan, if I may ask you that final question, Black Lives Matter and organisations, is it an honest clarification of their position?
It feels like rhetoric to me. So if Black Lives Matter, if we're being anti-racist, then I would encourage your viewers to ask their employers, how many Black people work in this organisation? What's the demographic makeup? And also ethnic pay reporting. An organisation will be looking at their systemic issues and we would be reporting that data.
I'm afraid we're going to We're going to have to leave it there. I'm afraid we've run out of time, but we could carry on. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining me. Thank you.